Yo.
I'm back and ready for action.
He's back. I already went live.
Oh.
So.
Screenplay.
Oh, we're not, like, I'm in starting soon.
Retract that. Belay my last. Yeah.
What's belay even mean?
I don't know. It's some dumbass Navy term.
Alright, let's do this.
So some big events that I wanted to tell you about. I finished Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
So good, man. So good.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, man? I just recently I decided to watch, because Disney Plus, goddamn, if I could finish a fucking thought. So Disney Plus has the Star Wars in canonical order, like, playlist. So I was like, fuck it, I'm watching all of Star Wars again. And I'm on season 4 of Clone Wars. And I just remember how fucking good it was. Season 1 and 2 are rough. But then after that, it's just like a climb. And then we'll just forget about season 7 at all. And it's perfect.
Oh, you didn't like season 7?
Not really. I mean, there's certain bits of it that hit hard. But like the majority of it, I'm like, this is kind of fucking boring. It just felt like they were wrapping it up, you know?
Yeah, I'd say the only parts I didn't like. Okay, so season 7, you can do without episodes probably like 3 through 8.
Yeah.
I think is what I'm thinking, because like when Ahsoka joins like that gang of shipbuilders,
it's so dumb, dude. It's so dumb.
That's where I'm like,
filler.
But then whenever like the you can see the tone shift, and it's like
the
first part of the very ending of season 7, and from that on, dude, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, I love that series. The animation style took me the first time I watched it, because this is like the third time I watched it. The first time I watched it, the animation style took me a little bit to get over. It's like it's not like it's bad. It's just like everybody's proportions are just like a little bit weird.
Yeah,
the heads are a little big, their hands are a little big. Just off-putting.
And it's crazy, like the difference in quality of animation from season 7 to like season 1 and 2, or season 4.
Seems like the shadows just get way better.
Yeah, and like the movement during the lightsaber combat, like because like people instead of just blurs.
The first 3 seasons, it's like every time the lightsabers connect, they stop for like a split second. They're like 1 second of. It's so weird. Anyways, I love the show. Don't like the fucking any of the Star Wars movies though.
Yeah, the show definitely made up for. I like that they didn't spend a lot of time on the events that happened in the movie.
Yeah,
because like they just expected you to already kind of know, so that was cool.
I honestly feel like
excited to watch Ahsoka.
I feel like episode 2 could just not exist. Like that movie, just give us one 30-minute episode of Clone Wars describing how they fall in love. I'm good. I don't need Hayden Christensen ruin his fucking acting career. Episode 3 is legit. Like, there's parts of that are really good, but like the majority of it is cringy. But like episode 2, like there's no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, no, honestly, I agree. The only important things I think you need is the fact that Anakin kills Count Dooku, and that him and Padme fall in love.
Yeah, that's it.
That's really it.
All right, let's
guess fucking they kill who? Boba Fett or Jango?
Jango Fett dies. Yeah, but who cares? He's a throwaway character. They introduced him in that movie.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Now he is. But wait until Disney Plus releases the Boba Fett series.
All right, let's get this show rolling. We're back. Screenplay episode 17, I think. 17.
Is it?
Yeah, episode 17. We got 3 more left for season 1. Possibly 2, depending on my mental health.
And also mine.
this week we're going to be running over the ending of House of M. It's a shorter series than the last comics we read. This is also a event comic, so there's a lot of shit that happens in like individual series that isn't told here that they just expect you to know. So I'm sure there's going to be some questions.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's jump right into it. So episode, you got me doing it now.
Yep, there it is. Superior.
Issue number 5.
There it is. Issue. That's the one.
We dive into the MacGuffin, the plot device of this little girl. I can't remember her name. It's really unimportant.
Yeah.
Emma Frost is like, hey, I'm going to use your power and act like you're important.
Yeah.
And weird green shit flies through their eyes, and then they remember their past. That's the MacGuffin's power.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to bother me that I can't remember her name.
I want to say it's like Sarah or something, right?
No, it starts with a J or something, I think. It's like Julia or Janice. Nah, I don't know.
You're right.
It's not.
We'll find out.
Yeah. So, turns out Scott Summers is the biggest pussy of all of the X-Men because he's the only person in the entire Marvel Universe to throw up after... And let's be honest, Spider-Man had a lot more to be upset about. But Scott Summers fucking threw up. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, he yaks, and then they're like, "Fuck, we gotta find everybody we know and see what we can do about it." And Clint Barton's like, "Yeah, I'm grudging you. I don't like this, but yeah, let's go find him." So then they find Peter Parker, which this is Peter Parker. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know why he's got a shaved head. Yeah, he's got a buzz cut. In his standalone comics, you actually learn that he's a sports star. Like, he plays in the NFL. And, like, powers are allowed in professional sporting events. And he's, like, the superstar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he literally got everything he ever wanted. Gwen's alive. They have a child. His Uncle Ben's alive. You know, it's, like, literally everything he's ever wanted.
Is Gwen, like, the first choice for him? Or is it Mary Jane?
Gwen was his first love. Nah, okay. Second love. I think him and Liz Allen dated in like high school, but like college days, Gwen Stacy.
Liz, is that the chick from the movie?
Liz Allen.
I forget her name.
Liz Allen's like a bit character in the MCU. She was in like the morning news show like a couple of times from their high school.
Oh. Okay, gotcha.
I had a newt here in my mouth, you fucking dog. The Spider-Man movie, she's like the Sony Spider-Man movie, from the early 2000s. She's like the desk attendant for J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Either way,
okay.
Doesn't matter. Super bit character. It's very obscure. Yeah. Unimportant. Gwen Stacy's the one, right? Because Spider-Man kills her. Like, that's his biggest regret after Uncle Ben was Gwen Stacy dying.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't read a lot of Spider-Man comics, so I was confused because Sony... Well, I don't know if it was Sony. Fox made the originals, right? Or was it Sony?
No, it was Sony.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Tobey Maguire stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire, it seemed like his like main attraction was always Mary Jane. So, and then obviously Andrew Garfield comes along, and then it's Gwen.
So Spider-Man's been around for what, like 40 years, I think? Yeah. Something like that. And the majority of the time there have been Spider-Man comics, Mary Jane's been the love interest.
Okay. So,
like, I think it was in the 80s, like, when Stacy got killed. And then from then on until now, it's always been Mary Jane, right? So it's been a long time. So that's why, they, in the movies and stuff, they always use her because it's like, what everybody knows. Gwen Stacy is pretty obscure. She actually was in the third one, though. Bryce Dallas Howard played her in the third one. Super obscure character, dude. She was the blonde that came between Pete and Mary Jane.
Oh, okay, yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Super obscure. And she, she was the one in Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, right? So she.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the House of M. So, anyways, Peter Parker's a fucking football star, and he's got literally everything he's ever wanted. Now, in this universe, everybody has everything they ever want, right? And what fucked it all up at first, we thought, was that Logan actually got all of his memories back, and like that meant he knew his old life. So then he started the whole ball rolling. But in reality, the MacGuffin was actually there already, making like Luke Cage remembers past and shit.
Yeah.
So, this is so great, dude. So this is like chronicling in one page all of Spider-Man's history. Like,
yeah,
bad shit, Venom, bad shit, Doc Ock, bad shit, fucking Kingpin, and then the three good things down here is him marrying Mary Jane and his Aunt May. One big thing, I don't know if you recognize though, in issue number 2, I believe we saw Mary Jane as a movie star. She was on like a billboard, right? So they don't know each other in this universe.
Yeah,
his fucking wife.
And then that causes him to think like she would be more successful without him, right? Yeah,
but think about that. If the world has given, or if they both get everything they ever wanted, they're not together.
I know.
How much would that fuck with your head, dude?
Right? No, it's oh man, and that brings up a really great point. I think it's later in one of the other issues, but we'll talk about it then. But man, also just the art style, like just like this page,
it's so good
in general, so good.
Yeah. So like I really like this artist. I can't remember who it is. But the one complaint I'll have about them is that men have like super angular jaws. Like they're like always really low and huge. But I love all the artwork. They're really good at drawing female characters, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like look at this one. I don't know. I'm gonna switch my scene real quick. Look at this fucking Scott Summers jawline. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Isn't that how it's supposed to be?
Yeah, half. Okay, so fucking they do it to Peter Parker, and he fucking loses his shit. He's like, everybody I've ever loved that is right here, standing right here, is actually dead. So he fucks off.
Yeah.
Guess what though? He doesn't fucking throw up Scott Summers.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. So
he fucking runs away, and then everybody's like, hey, somebody's going to have to go talk to him. And Wolverine's like, yeah, I'll do it. What? Of all the people to talk somebody off the ledge, you're going to send Wolverine? No, he's not my first choice, Let's send the psychic lady. Like,
I mean, who else are you gonna send though? I mean, like, cause Emma Frost, she's a hardcore bitch.
Yeah, that's true. She's pretty heartless. But like Luke Cage, they arguably have a better relationship. Like he's in the Bronx. Peter's in Queens. Like, right. There's better options
because he's a pussy.
Exactly. Right. He'll just be like, no, don't do it. But like, there's better options here. I'm just saying. But no, they send Wolverine because he's the star. And literally he does the most like Logan thing ever. He's just like, suck it up, bub. Get over your shit. We got a world to save. And Peter's like fucking bawling his eyes out. There's snot coming out of his nose, and he's like, all right, let's go figure it out, I guess. Yeah. And then there's just a montage. Like I picture like Goo Goo Dolls music going through where the MacGuffin goes and just like frees a bunch of people, and they get to two things though. Like they show her in Chicago, right? And it's Tony Stark talking to like the media, and they show like the mind eye wipe thing. Yet Tony Stark doesn't get freed. It's very odd, right?
What do you mean?
In the end of it, Tony Stark, Iron Man, does not show up to the final fight. And then when they're in the last issue, he's like, I don't know what the fuck happened. We'll get to that in a minute, but like, this was jarring to me. Also, They say that they free Jennifer Walters, which is She-Hulk, Jordan's favorite character, and
Easily.
Matt Murdock, who also doesn't show up in the fucking final fight. Where did he go?
Aren't they like married though in this?
No, they're just like, well, maybe they could be. They don't really talk about it. They're just like coming out of the courthouse and like she wants to buy him drinks. So they could be fucking.
Hey, there you go. She-Hulk is canon.
There you go. There you go. It's not like the Storm proceeding, like, because this came out like fucking 2002. But whatever. And then the most depressing thing of all, they get to Steve Rogers' house, and Steve Rogers was depowered. Issue 1, first thing we saw, Old Man Rogers, right? Jordan almost missed it because he didn't read the letter.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, fuck this guy. He can't help us, he's old.
What could he possibly do?
And Wolverine's like, oh man, that sucks. We could have used him.
Yeah. Well, so also, if you can, switch your scene on that page.
Yeah.
Captain America. So it looked like to me, because this is what was jarring. So it looks like they say like, "Oh, he's old. What does it matter?" Da da da. But then the panel to the right, it shows the mind wipe or like the.
I know, reset. Right? It's like, what is happening?
So does that mean she did it?
I don't know. I thought it did, but like, I guess not.
Too.
How depressing would that be? Like,
yeah.
Hey, normally you're not 90, but all right, whatever. Then we go into the plan devising phase, and I don't understand this dude with the gun looking out the window. It's very MacGyver-ish, but whatever. MacGyver's not the right word, but like secret spy shit.
Yeah.
And Clint Barton's like, don't fucking use your mind powers on me. I don't give a shit about my past. Like, we need to go get this shit done. And then, the fucking SHIELD shows up. They got a brief fight, and then Rogue touches the MacGuffin and spreads it throughout the room so everybody gets their past, right? And they don't realize it, but Clint Barton then learned his past. So he's very upset. He's very upset.
So what is Rogue's power? I'm confused.
So Rogue, you should know this. You've seen the X-Men movies?
No, actually.
What?
I think I saw the first one, and then I kind of watched the second one, and I was like, wow, these are kind of...
Awesome. Yeah. Groundbreaking. They brought the superhero franchise back. Thank you for X-Men, because Spider-Man wouldn't be... Anyways. Her power is that she can take anybody's mutant powers. Right? So, like, if she touches somebody, she gets their abilities. And it lasts for as long as she touches them. Which is why in the final fight, she's a fucking badass. She just, like, touches everybody and gets everybody's powers right away. Anyways, so she also drains
her... as long as she's touching them, or...
It's like a factor of it. So if she touches somebody for a second, she gets their power for like a minute. You know? Oh. I don't know the exact number. We'd have to look it up. But...
Okay, well, that makes... Okay. I was confused by this. That's
yeah, so her power, if you can see in this panel right here, she touches her pinky, touches the MacGuffin, and that's why it was like, oh, and then everybody remembered.
So is it skin on skin contact? Is that
yeah? It has to be skin. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why she's like the unobtainium of the Marvel universe. Like everybody thinks she's so hot and like the shit. It's because nobody literally can have sex with her. They will die.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what about 100%. Wolverine? Wolverine can't?
No, dude. She'll suck his life out.
Oh. Well, hell, that'd be a one way to go.
Yeah, so Rogue is arguably one of the strongest mutants in the world, but she yet is not Omega level. So that's a fun fact. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, so everybody's like, oh yeah, this shit happened. We're all upset. Blah. Nobody else throws up, and they're like, hey, where's Clint? What happened to him? And then they cut to Genosha. Now, if we remember, Genosha was the island of the mutants that got decimated by Sentinels right before this happened. And in Avengers Disassembled, Wanda systematically destroys like the Avengers, right? And she actually kills Clint Barton. Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So Clint remembered that. when the Flash went through.
Yeah.
So we're back in Genosha, and you were probably like, "Who the fuck is this green-haired chick?" I guarantee you're like, "Who the fuck is this green-haired chick?"
Absolutely, yeah.
She's like one of the most obscure mutants ever. She hasn't been around since like the early 90s. Her name's Polaris. She is Magneto's daughter. She has the exact same power set that Magneto does, just like a weaker version. But it's cool.
Just Marvel Snap, I think.
It's cool that they put her in here because like she is somewhat obscure. I guess she wasn't. She was really big back in the day, but like she's not part of the modern X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
Then they look over Professor X's grave. That's Magneto going in, remembering his friend.
Yeah.
That was it for that issue. Issue number 5. They've decided they're going to Genosha and they're gonna fight. So I don't know why they decided they're gonna fight or why they need to fight, but they're like, fuck it, this is what we do. We fight things. So
yeah.
We're not gonna go talk to anybody.
The big thing is like I think they wanted to find Charles, right? They wanted to know where Charles Xavier was.
Yeah.
But they were like, well, what if we can't put it back together? And they're like, I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Well, no, we're not even to that part yet. I'm just saying, like, in my head, like, the first thing I'm thinking, like, because they're getting on the helicarrier here to, like, go to Genosha and, like, take over shit. And, like, I would just be like, get on the phone and be like, hey, Magneto, what's up, bro? Like, why did this happen? Why are you doing this shit? Nope. They're just like, we gotta take over a whole helicarrier and we gotta go fuck them up and distract them while we try to find Professor X.
Well, Magneto doesn't even know what's going on right at this point.
Well,
too,
they don't know that. They don't know that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I guess you're right.
they just assume that that Magneto's the bad guy because they have a history. Oh, fun!
Yeah.
Another really fun fact. Marvel came out, and I think it was like 2010, and they confirmed that from the beginning of Spider-Man until that point had only been 10 years canonically. It's been like fucking 30 years of comic books. It's supposed to be condensed into a 10-year time frame.
Why is that important, though?
Because I was about to say they've been fighting Magneto for 40 years, right? Since they've been out. But it's actually not been that long.
Okay, gotcha.
Because, you know, like, there's so many stories and so many things that happen, like, it just doesn't make any sense. And them putting a time frame on it was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
The DC comic universe, every like 10 or 15 years or so, they reset everything. So like it can make reasonable sense. That was
yeah.
me. I don't know what that is. Okay. So anyways, they just assumed that Magneto was the bad guy. I don't remember who the first guy. Oh, that's Victor Von Doom. He comes out, takes some photos with Magnus while the team is like going over what they have to do in the middle of a mess hall full of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that Emma Frost is just making it like they're not there. Fuck, I really want to know what that MacGuffin's name is. Sweet ass Spider-Man costume, by the way. Very cool. We never see it again, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. And Scott's like, you know, I normally take the high ground. Like we normally go in with like doing the right thing, but like throw all that away. If we don't win, it's the end of everything. So like balls to the wall, kill people if you have to, like do what you have to, which is a very not Scott Summers thing to say.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, well, I mean, if we have to go that far, like, I don't want to do it. And Spider-Man's like, I gotta fucking take a break. Give me a minute. And he fucks off. And then Kitty Pryde is like, hey, man, like, are we sure that this isn't, like, you know, the next stage of human evolution? Like, are we sure that this isn't the destruction event that makes mutant kind the master race?
Yeah, so this is a scene I was talking about where she starts going through like why do we hate this, right? Because we were given everything we wanted. right?
Yeah.
She's like, why is this a bad thing? You know, why is it bad for us to enjoy like basically the life that we live now?
Oh, not Kitty Pryde. I'm sorry. It was Psylocke. It was Psylocke. Not
Oh,
Kitty
okay.
Pryde. My bad. But yes.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
And like that is such a great scene because it's true. Like, why? What is their obligation now? Because
Yeah.
oh,
And that's why
such a good scene.
That's why Spider-Man leaves, because he doesn't want shit to go back. He knows the right thing is that we shouldn't brainwash people. Like, people should have free will and be able to choose. And that fundamentally, that's what this whole series is about. Is that Wanda took away anybody's right to choose.
Yeah.
And he knows that that's wrong, but he doesn't care. That's why he's like, I don't want to listen to this part. Like, I've decided to help you guys, but like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So then we get to like, I forget what this party's about. They're like celebrating something. I don't remember. They said it in like issue 3, but I don't think it's really important. It just pretty much all the world dignitaries are getting together. It's kind of neat to see some of them. Like we see T'Challa and Aurora, Namor and Victor Von Doom. All these people are like world leaders instead of being like they're shitty not world leaders. And we see this House of Magnus where we get to see for the first time what Scarlet Witch would look like, which is kind of cool. She's like got shit all over her face, but here, we'll do this. So like she's covered up mainly. You don't really see much of her, and these are her 2 children.
Which I was definitely expecting something different with her children. I thought they were going to look different, but
Why is that?
are these kids with vision?
Yeah.
Technically?
Yeah. One of them's name's Wiccan, and I forget the other one. But they become like real. So I want to save some of it for later, but these are definitely their real children.
Okay. And don't they have now? Obviously, my only introduction to her having kids is Wanda Vision, right? So does like one of them have like Pietro's powers?
Yeah.
And
One of
then
them has
kinda-
her powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fuck Vision.
Vision's
Hold on a second.
okay.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, so one other thing that I absolutely love about this series is how cool the Sentinels look. They have this like elegance to the design, but they still are these giant like mechanized robots. It just looks cool to me. And I don't know why Polaris isn't the one to just stop it, but apparently Magneto has to come in. Then we get this great panel where we get to see a really cool visual of all the guys that are going out to fight. Oh, I guess I was wrong. There's Matt Murdock. He actually is there. Everybody's jumping in to like take a swing. Who's that guy? I don't remember. Maybe Iceman?
Sorry, maintenance.
You're good.
Showed up.
Fucking maintenance. One thing I was saying, like I really like how the Sentinels look. Like they look somewhat elegant, right? And I think it's a really cool thing. Big fight, laser beams thrown around, and you see Pietro like in this one panel, and he's like, he can think very quickly and like perceive things very quickly. It's part of his mutant ability, right? Because he runs really fast.
Yeah.
So this is him like taking in everything that's happening right away. You know, like all this shit is happening, and he's just taking it all in, and then like he decides to run out and he fucks up everybody, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah, it is cool.
Elsewhere, they go to Professor X's grave, which it's not really clear like why they're here or how they knew to go here, but they do. And you good?
Yeah, they're mutants. That's why.
Is that your dog?
Which one?
Are-
You hear the bark or like that?
No, I see you going.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm trying to pet her that way she calms down and stops barking.
Okay, so yeah, they just figure out to be here somehow, and Cloak, which I didn't know his powers were to phase through ground, but apparently it is now. And he's like, oh man, there's only dirt down there. Professor X isn't there. And Emma Frost is like, oh fuck. What does that mean? Next issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Cloak, I mean, Cloak's always been known to be able to just investigate graves. However, I thought he was a teleporter, not like a phaser, right?
Yeah, literally, he's a gateway. Like he opens his cloak up, you walk in, and then you walk out somewhere else. Like that's his whole thing. He's basically in Marvel events, and it's not just this one. Like, wait until we read a couple of these. He's basically the Avengers, like fucking taxi.
He was Uber. Got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And he's like his whole niche was like Cloak and Dagger, right? Like Dagger's like the light, the offense, and he's like the dark and the defense, like of a team. But where the fuck is Dagger? Like she's never in any of these events. Yeah. It's only him because it's convenient that they can fucking teleport everywhere.
Didn't they fly there?
Yeah. They took over a whole helicarrier, like hundreds of people. Fucking mind-boggling, but whatever. It was cool, I guess. So yeah, everybody's fucking fighting, and then Rogue, like, she's like, where is it at? Like somewhere I can't remember where exactly it's at, but she's like, normally I wouldn't take everybody's powers like this or hold on this long, but Scott said, restrictions are off, and she becomes uber badass and just starts beating everybody's ass. Fucking Pietro's running around. She's like, no, stop. Stomps down. And he fucking flies away. Then, it runs out because she doesn't have it forever, and Pietro fucking hits everybody. Meanwhile, fucking Doctor Strange runs up and starts talking to real Wanda. Turns out the Wanda out there was a fucking body double. She pulled a Padme and put the real queen in the inside.
Yeah. And is Doctor Strange is in like the astral?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's just like in the movies, right? Where like they get punched and like their soul goes out of the body, like so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he goes up to Scarlet Witch and she's like completely oblivious to it. She's just like, this is the world I made. Yeah, they're fighting, but they always fight. Who cares? And he's asking her all these questions, and her kid's like, hey, this isn't talk time, this is playtime. Like, you can fuck off, bud.
Yeah.
And he's like, and Doctor Strange is like, oh, my bad, bro, I just got one more. Like, let me get through it.
Yeah, hold up.
Wait a minute. And then she like telepathically puts the memory into Doctor Strange. So like we saw all the way through all of this, even including the fight with Pietro and his dad, right? And that was a really powerful scene where they're like, what would you have me do? What would you have me do? And he's like, they're gonna kill her. They're gonna kill her. And then we learn right after that scene, he goes and talks to Wanda, and he's like, you can't die. And she's like, no, like maybe I should die. I'm a coward and I can't do it myself. And could you imagine how like badly that would like, I would just feel horrible, right?
Yeah. She
even realizes that she's a danger, but she can't bring herself to stop it. Then
I feel like that was a good change of pace because let's see, in the show and in the movie, like Wanda's definitely made out to be like just this crazy person, and like almost they try to paint her as like an unrelatable character, but like she also has some aspects that like you can just really relate to. In this, it's like, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing we need to remember is that we just came off of another event last year where she fucking decimated everything. She became nutbag and like killed a bunch of people. So like she was a villain. This is actually, believe it or not, her redemption arc.
When you say last year, you mean like the year before this came out?
Yeah, the Avengers Disassembled. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
so like, so this is like her redemption where you find out like she didn't know what she was actually doing, and she has a lot of remorse for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I like it, just because it's like
Yeah.
it's not her as a villain; it's just her. She's almost like a side effect.
Well, she's being
what
manipulated,
power she has.
right? And Pietro's the one who's like, "Hey, just take over Professor X, and like,
Yeah,
we'll just we'll use his power, and you can just give everybody what they want." And her, in her like damaged state, she's like, "Why wouldn't everybody want what they've always wanted?" So she goes ahead with it. Then fucking Hawkeye shows up and shoots her ass with an arrow.
so good.
You're like, what the fuck? Why did he do that? And then you figure out, oh yeah, it's because he's fucking mad because she killed him and then brought him back to life. And
and it does absolutely nothing. Like
it's
just like disintegrate.
And then she's just no, that's actually Wiccan. Her son does it. Her son
really?
obliterates him. Yeah. Here, let me show you. You can see down here. She makes the arrow disintegrate so she doesn't die, right? She gets up and grabs her other kid, and this one's standing in defense, right? And Clint's like fucking screaming at her, like, "You killed me! This is not okay!" And he's like, "Shut up!" Bam, gone.
So that's it then. Then Hawkeye, we just assume Hawkeye's dead again.
Yep, Hawkeye goner. And then that's when Doctor Strange is like, "Oh shit." Hey,
I said, okay, it's not.
You wanna? Yeah. I guess wanna back off.
Yeah.
And we go back to the fight, and Pietro's like beating the fuck out of everybody in super speed, and then Magneto shows up, and he's like, "Boy," because he gets MacGuffined somewhere back there. I don't remember where it was. There's one panel where he gets his mind powers. He gets his memories back. And he's like, "Boy, who gave you that? Who gave you the right? Like, what right do you have to fucking come at me, bro? I gave you life.
Yeah.
I could take it away." And he obliterates him. He takes like every piece of metal he can find and then shreds his ass. And
which is such a badass.
It's so cool, right? And then Wanda comes out and she's like, "Hey, bro, that's my brother. Like, calm down, bud." And she actually removes Magneto's mouth because he's trying to like keep berating them, and she's like, "Nah, no mouth.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Don't beat the hell out of my brother."
Hey, bro, that no mouth trick. I mean, that killed Black Bolt. It's powerful.
Oh, that's so dumb. Don't bring that up. So then she's like bitching about how fuck it is. So then she starts bitching about how she gave everybody what they want, and like how her dad was so arrogant that like this is all his fault because he said fuck the family, like he needed to be a messiah for the mutant race, and like the mutant race has like been the problem the whole time. And then she utters the words, "No more mutants," and she uses her powers one last time to disintegrate herself. And she takes away the powers of every mutant that isn't sitting right here, right now. That's super powerful, right?
So everyone that was in that fight still has their powers?
Correct, yeah. They were being protected by Emma.
Oh, okay.
Right. And Doctor Strange, I think they said. Layla Rose. That was her name.
Oh. Okay.
So then we go back to Peter Parker, and he wakes up and he's uber depressed. And Mary Jane's like, "Hey, what's up, man? You good?" And he's like, "Nah, I got a headache." Walks out, starts crying.
I think it's important. I think it's important to show that Peter Parker definitely does not have an angular jaw in this panel.
Yep, and he also doesn't have a buzz cut. They go to Avengers Tower where like half the Avengers are like, "Bro, like calm down. What the fuck are you guys talking about?" and then the other half that knows what happens are like, "This sucks, man."
Yeah. Well, is this green robe guy? Is that supposed to be Peter Parker?
Green robe guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have a robot. Yeah. That's Peter Parker, and he fucking breaks the table. And Iron Man's like, "Hey, man, I bought that." Luke Cage is like, "Hey, you can buy another one."
Dude, I was definitely expecting this to be like Bruce Banner, just because like that panel in the top right is definitely like the signature Hulk panel in my opinion.
Dude, Hulk is at this time on a different planet. So
Okay.
we should read.
Is this like Planet Hulk?
We should read Planet Hulk or World War Hulk.
Okay.
That's even better. Anyways, okay. Then Doctor Strange walks in, and somehow, for some reason, he's all beat to shit, and I don't really understand why he was beat up looking. You know, like he's like fucking hanging on the wall, like, oh no. And then he explains like what happened. um, for some odd reason, and like so, everybody's supposed to wake up like where they were the day before, right? Except for Doctor Strange and Emma Frost, apparently, because Emma Frost wakes up in the fucking yard. Like, why is this bitch out in the yard? Everybody else is still in the house. Like, fuck, we don't have powers, but she's in the fucking.
They were throwing the dirtiest rager at fucking Professor X.
So she runs in, and everybody's talking about how they don't have fucking powers anymore, and like we don't understand what's going on. And then they're like, "Oh shit, Wolverine, dude! If he lost his powers, he's got a fucking 200-pound metal skeleton, so he's gonna die." They find him, and this is one of my favorite pieces of artwork in this whole book. It's when Logan he realizes he has all of his memories, and the look of shock on his face is like, it's so well articulated in this drawing of like remorse, loss, excitement, and it's just so much going on here. I really like it.
Yeah.
So he remembers everything that happened in his whole life, which, let me tell you, let's read that one because it's fucked up. Emma goes into Cerebro and tries to find Professor X, and she finds out that the 5 dots in Africa are all the mutants she can find, not including them. So it went from millions to a handful, maybe 12 to 15 mutants in the whole world.
Okay.
And let me tell you, that's how it was for close to 10 years in comics. Like, there were no mutants. Yeah.
Wow.
It changed everything. The landscape completely changed. They kind of moved towards... They introduced Terrigen Mist Wave, which was like going across the planet, turning people into Inhumans. So like there were still some people with powers, but like everybody who was an X-Men wasn't an X-Men anymore. Like Jubilee lost her powers and she ended up having a baby, and like it wasn't until like 2017 they had an event where they brought everybody's powers back.
Wow, so Iceman, like, so he was permanently not Iceman anymore?
Yeah, he's depowered.
Wow.
So it was a big deal, man. It was a really big deal in comics because, like, it fucking changed the world.
In the moment while you were reading this, like, whenever it first came out, were you just like, oh, fuck?
Yeah. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because like, I read a lot of comics, and, like, everybody always brings everything back to life. Like, nobody's ever really dead, you know, like, yeah. But they stuck with it, dude, for a long time, and it sucked. Poor people.
So Terrigen Mistwave, that's like a lot of Kamala Khan.
That's how she got her powers. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, she's probably one of the more well-known ones, but yeah. They find Magneto. He's depowered, and he doesn't give a shit, you know. They find Wanda. She's depowered also, just living her life. She seems happy. Little do we know, because it's not in here, it's in a tie-in comic, but she actually saved her kids here, too. So she brought them back into the real world. They are real people now. And then they say, there's this great exposition by Hank Pym, who's talking about how, like, we don't know what the ramifications of this are going to be, like, because we have Omega level mutants that, like, Magneto can alter the magnetic sphere of the planet, right? He can alter that stuff, and like Storm could change, you know, weather patterns on a continent. So what's going to happen to the world now when, in like Newton's third law, like matter cannot be created or destroyed. Like energy from them has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And the last panel you see, do you know what this is?
Is that the Phoenix Force?
That's the Phoenix Force. So all that energy goes to the Phoenix.
Oh, and then who ends up getting the Phoenix Force? Because I know a lot of people do, but is it Jean Grey, right? Is the big one?
Well, okay, so that's complicated because it's been retconned a few times. But originally in the comics, Phoenix Force takes over Jean Grey, right?
Okay.
And come to find out, like 10 years later, she didn't take over Jean Grey. She put Jean Grey into a cocoon and made a clone of her body called Madeline Pryor. So she didn't actually become the Phoenix. But a few years after that, she became the Phoenix.
Okay, of course, yeah, not confusing whatsoever.
And then she gave up that power, and it went back out into the universe because it's a cosmic entity, right? It's not meant to be contained in one person.
Yeah.
Then it set its sights on Hope Summers, which you don't know who that is.
I'm assuming it's related to Scott Summers.
It's actually Madeline Pryor's daughter with Scott Summers.
Who's Madeline Pryor again?
The Jean Grey clone.
Okay.
She's raised by Cable, who's it's so complicated, dude. She's raised by Cable, who is Scott Summers and Jean Grey's son from an alternate timeline.
There's got to be some incest, right? Like,
no, because they're all different people.
It's okay, whatever.
So she's raised by her brother by a different father.
That's funny. Okay, so then with the Phoenix Force, that means the Phoenix Force was already powerful, but now all that extra energy went to the Phoenix Force. So it's like uber powerful.
And then we get into another story event called Avengers versus X-Men. Very good. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I fucking love that one.
Avengers versus X-Men. Why are they fighting each other now?
Phoenix Force.
That's just it, the Phoenix Force. Okay.
You got it. We'll have to read it at some point.
Okay.
So, in terms of story events, this one's pretty weak, to be honest. Its final story event has probably the second highest ramifications for the entire Marvel universe. But like story-wise, it's kind of a mess and it's a jumble and it moves real quick. And it kind of relies on the tie-in comics to tell like the overarching story. This is a bullshit way of Marvel just trying to get you to buy more books, to be honest. But a lot of the story beats from Doctor Strange Into Madness and Wanda Vision take inspiration from this series and the Vision series.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I like. Don't get me wrong, I like WandaVision, and I did actually like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which could be a hot topic. But I do wish that, because I think this would have been cool to see come to life with the amount of effort that they gave like WandaVision. You know, I would have liked to have seen this storyline get played out with that much effort and that much of a budget on the big screen.
There's too many characters. I mean, it would be cool, but like, there's too many characters involved. You know, they pretty much did with WandaVision. They just took out all the character nonsense and just focused on the core story beats, which are pretty much the same here, right? So it's about Wanda going crazy, wanting to keep her kids, and then they also threw in some elements from the Vision series that we read about him wanting to have a normal life. So they kind of merged those two. And they really boiled down the essence of it, which I thought they did pretty well. I really liked the Wanda series, but you can see elements from both of those series that we've read kind of in there.
Yeah, well, I just think it would have been a great. I think they should have waited, right? I mean, like I say this, and I don't want people to think I'm saying WandaVision wasn't great. It was amazing. So, but I think it would have been a nice. This could have been like the next big thing, like the next Thanos.
That would have been way better, I feel like, because like we don't need a universal big bad. Like, let's make somebody everyone cares about.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the ending of this, like, I know you weren't very satisfied with it, but I really liked it because it showed remorse. It showed like consequences to actions and how like she stole everybody's right to choose and she felt horrible for it. So she's going to try and make everything better. You're going to get your choices back, but the world's not going to have mutants anymore. That way, you know, nobody has to make this horrible decision anymore.
Yeah.
You can just be a normal person. But in the end, she's still taking away people's choice.
Yeah.
It's so
and
good.
So that's not that I was unfulfilled. I think I was more or less looking for the resolution by the end of the
yeah,
series,
there isn't
right?
one, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I'm like unfulfilled. It was a great story, and like, you know, although I'm oblivious to the actual magnitude of the ramifications, it's just like, oh man, well, now what? You know?
Yeah.
And it's over. So that's it. There's no now what.
So a big outcome from this was Wolverine's standalone comic series, which is pretty long, but he does go into all of his stuff, like his entire past. And there is one mini series called Wolverine Origins that was a direct result of this happening. That is pretty good. You might want to consider reading it. Maybe that'll be our next one. But it goes through his life, and it starts off when he's born, and it ends at current time. So you learn everything about Wolverine.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I definitely think we should read something having to do with. I'm interested in the Planet Hulk or World War Hulk idea.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah.
But I'm also very much okay with reading something that has something to do with the ramifications of this or the precursor to this. Either one of those.
Dude, Avengers Disassembled is really fucking good.
Yeah, and you know, I'm definitely down. Whatever you think would be good to read, I'm gonna be following your lead on this one.
Man, I thought you wanted to read Bones.
Dude, I do want to read Bones, but
what?
I don't know. We'll have to. I think I want to do a Marvel one. I want to do like a good precursor, good follow up event on this one, just because like I actually liked the House of M.
There's also a good amount of DC stuff that we can dive into, but I guess you bought the Marvel thing, so we can stick with Marvel for.
Yeah, and then I feel like once you tell me like, okay, we've read all the events, you know, because I know there's a lot, but like,
dude, we're not getting through all. We're not getting through all.
Yeah,
no, that's not
like
happen.
the big ones, the big ones, you know.
Civil War, Civil War 2, maybe. I don't know, man.
I want a Marvel zombie one, but we can do that after DC. But
that's not an event. Those are good.
Yeah, but after we do like a couple Marvel, then maybe Bones, and then we could go into DC.
I actually own the entire Civil War 2 series, like all of the tie-in books, all of the mainline books. It's like 150 different comics, dude. I got them in 3 long boxes and stuff like.
Are the tie-ins important with Civil War?
Some of them are, some of them are not.
That's crazy. All right, well.
Yeah. So, we'll pick something. We're also open to suggestions if anybody wants to throw something at us. What do you think, Jordan? I think we start wrapping it up.
Yeah, no. I'll give my final thoughts on the House of M. I loved it. It was great. This was my first true introduction to I would say, chronological comic book kind of, you know, because I think the first one we read was Vision, and that one kind of just has a good standalone in my opinion. But this one has like precursor and After Effects, all that. So that being my first one, I liked it a lot. Yeah.
Out of 10, what are you giving it?
I'm probably gonna give it I'd give it an 8, I think.
Okay, so this being your first one, I think your gauge is going to shift wildly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give this one a 5. To be honest, out of all the story events I've read, it's the beginning of the problem, and you'll see what I'm talking about later. Because they all follow a very similar premise. Girl MacGuffin, little kid powers, comes in, has no bearing and no need to be there afterward. No characters are made from it, and then everything just goes back to status quo afterward. This one did have lasting ramifications, though. But I'd say 5 out of 10. Read it if you can. If not, you're not missing a ton.
No, it was just cool to see the inspiration for Wanda Vision, which, you know, we are very big fans of.
Yeah.
And Multiverse of Madness, which I am a big fan of.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the movie, but I just don't think it's as good as you do.
No, I would put it S tier, probably above Endgame.
S tier? All right. Got your plugs. Here's your opportunity, my friend.
So you guys can find me on Twitch at MomoJ, it's M0M0J, as well as Kick at M0M0J, and on Twitter at TheMomoJ. When I am not absolutely flooded with school. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and tuning into the podcast every week.
We love you.
Definitely makes it easier. Yeah. It makes it easier to come on here and be able to talk nerd stuff.
You can follow me on Twitter and all social medias at PrimeTony112. I'm on Twitch regularly. I've got a 4-day schedule, usually from noon to 8 every day. Come hang out and we'll play some games. You can catch the podcast every week. We upload new videos on Tuesdays, and we record on Mondays. You can catch us usually around noon to 1 for the live show. Otherwise, you got to wait 2 weeks for it to be uploaded. Thanks for that, everybody. We'll see you guys later.